it was just announced that there's going to be major changes to the credit scoring models this year, summertime of 2020. The question is, how prepared are you going to be when those changes happen? They're predicting that millions of people are going to be impacted. Some scores are going to increase, and others, the scores are going to decrease overnight, just simply based on the change. Are you ready? This is what we're going to talk about in this session. Welcome. I'm Devin Stubblefield, your financial coach and trainer, and I want to share something with you today that I think is very important about something that's going to be happening in the credit world coming up here later on in the summer of 2020. Well, it seems that FICO, the Fair Isaac Corporation, they're the ones who actually created the initial FICO scores, or credit scores as we know it. But they're coming up with a new change. They're changing the algorithms and the calculations on what moves your score up and down. Now, I want to say that it's not so much that they're changing it, because they've changed it a few times over the course of the last 10 years. As a matter of fact, in 2009, they actually published their FICO 8 model. And in 2014, they came out with FICO 9. What we're going to focus on is FICO 10T. That's what's really coming down the pike, and I want you to be aware of what's happening. So the thing about it is, right now, if you were to get your credit score calculated today based on the current models, they're taking a snapshot of what's going on right now. Boom, it's like a picture. So that's why if you have some of the apps, Credit Karma, Credit.com, CreditWise, all those different apps that you can get on your phone that tells you what your credit score is on a daily basis, you may notice that your scores are going up and down all the time, because it's responding to the algorithms that are making your scores improve or making your scores decline based on your activity. Now, with this new FICO 10T, by the way, the T stands for trending. And that is the unique identifier of this new model. What they're going to be looking at is the last 24 months of your history. So they're going to go back 24 months from the current month and look at what you've done over time. So it's not going to be just a snapshot of what you've done here today or this week or this month. It's going to be the total 24-month trending. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that if it's going to reward people who have been working to pay off their debts, but it could cause the scores to drop if you have been incurring debt. So that's where the swing is going to happen. Now, here's the thing. This is what I want you to understand. FICO, they're anticipating that about 110 million people are going to be impacted by the new changes, okay? That's a lot of people. I mean, that's probably all of us and then some, right? A lot of people. So here's the deal. It's going to happen. There's going to be changes. We need to adjust ourselves so that financially, even from a credit standpoint, that we don't get caught slipping and get in a situation where credit scores are going to tank. We don't want that to happen. So I want to give you some ideas here that we can actually do to kind of help that from happening. And I want to give you kind of an example, but I want to give some props out to Michelle Singletary. She's a financial advisor, financial columnist. She wrote an article in the Washington Post just recently, and she's talking about that, well, if the trending is going to help people to spot a financial crisis even before they realize they're in jeopardy and prevent them from taking on new debt, that's a good thing. And, I tend to agree with that, because here's the deal. As we age and get older, you want your finances to get better. You want your scores to go higher. You want things to get easier, things to get less expensive, because we're actually doing all the right things to be financially responsible. So that's what we're trying to do. But here's the thing. if you are actually impulsive with your financial behavior, and all of a sudden, because there's an event coming up, now you want to go out and buy stuff, buy new outfits, and buy things that's going to really increase your debt load because you're putting it on your credit cards, then that behavior could potentially hurt you. Now, before, maybe not as bad, but now, based on the trends, it can happen. Now, let me give you an example. So, let's say that you are a person that you use your credit cards, but you pay them off before the due date, okay? And you stay well below your credit limit most of the time, okay? Maybe on a monthly basis, you're doing those things. You're using the card, but you're paying it before the due date, and your overall balances are below your limit, okay? We want to establish that. So that's the behavior. But now let's say, for example, like every summer you go on a vacation, or every holiday season you're buying everybody gifts, and your credit card balances or your debt goes up during those times. But because you know that you need to make sure things get back in order, you pay them down. And so if your trend is you charge the debt, but then you pay it down, and the trending is that this is your behavior, then I can tell you that the credit score model is going to reward that, because your trend is you incur the debt, but then you get out of the debt. Now, under current credit score models, if you incur extra debt, your credit utilization ratio goes up. If the credit scores are ran that month, your credit scores are going to show that you have higher utilization, which means lower score. That's how that works. Now, under FICO 10T, if they are basing everything on a trend and on the history of what's happened over the past 24 months, and this behavior is such that, again, incur the credit, increase the debt, but then pay it off, then the credit score model is going to reward that, because that's the trend. So that's the difference. Now, let me give you a different example. So let's say there's a person who pays his bills on time, racks up, credit card debt, though, just like a normal person would. So rack up some debt and then decide, hey, let's get a consolidation loan and pay all the debt off. So you can do that. And then what happens? Maybe things start going again, and then maybe the person decides they want to start using their credit cards again, even after they paid it off. And then they decide, well, last time my credit cards went up, I got a loan, consolidated. Well, I'll just do that again, or I'll open up another card with a higher credit limit and do a balance transfer. Well, what is the trend in this scenario? Well, in this scenario, the trend is that the debt is growing. The debt is getting bigger. And even though the debt got paid down, in this example, this person is using that same tactic to get another loan, okay, or get a new credit card to consolidate the debt to free up the cash again to do it. So two entirely different scenarios. But the point is, in this scenario, the trending is going to show that this person has a propensity to get into debt or to incur debt. And so the trending is showing that debt balances are increasing, and so the credit scores are going to drop. Okay, so just want you to know that that is a trend that will show under the new model, and so penalizing the person who does that kind of behavior. So again, the FICO 10T model really also weighs a lot on personal loans. So if you're the type of person that gets a lot of personal loans, then you just want to be sure that you can handle them and not demonstrate any type of financial struggle, because if you happen to get a 30-day late payment because you've got the debt, then obviously that's going to penalize your score. So I just wanted to say that these are things to look out for going forward as we come into these new credit score changes that are happening here in 2020. Now, I got to say this. All in all, if you do the basics, which is have good credit behaviors, that's still the key to making sure that you're going to be all right. So here it is. Pay your bills on time. We know that. Pay them on time, right? Do that every single time. Keep your balances as low as possible, because remember, it's about that credit utilization, making sure that you can keep all your credit cards and their balance is below 30% of the high limit, keep that utilization low, and then make sure that you're watching your credit report. Look at it at least once a year, or more frequently that twice or 3 times a year, and double check to make sure there aren't any errors. If you do those things consistently over time, and if you do see an error, get it corrected so that you can keep your credit report as clean as possible. You do those things, then you're going to be all right. Your scores will eventually rise because of all of these behaviors. Now, final thing I'm going to say is there is now the emergence of Experian Boost. You may have seen the commercials on TV where now you can actually attach your cell phone payment history and your utility bill payment history to your credit reports and get a boost in your score. And that is, of course, if you've paid those things on time. Now, I can say that that is a real thing, and it does happen. And on average, people have seen an increase of about 10 points on their credit scores. Okay, so it does work, it is available, and you can do it. So I just wanted to put that out there because it is something that is now emerging and is getting a lot more visibility on television and gaining in popularity. So I just want to share that. But these are things that I want you to consider as you go forth in 2020 in regards to your credit scores. Thank you for watching. Until the next time you tune in, be inspired.